The lake that sucks away your thoughts. There is a lake where thoughts vanish before they even become words. People arrive full of ideas and leave empty, staring into nothingness, unable to remember who they were. The longer someone observes the still water, the more their mind dissolves as if the lake drinks away memories, doubts, and decisions, leaving only silence within the head. Without pain, as night falls, the lake seems quieter than it should be, and people begin to lose their train of thought mid-conversation. Ideas vanish, memories fail, simple decisions become impossible. Some stand on the shore for hours, unable to explain why. No one feels pain, only a growing emptiness, as if something is being silently drained away. The most frightening thing is realizing that those who move away from the lake don't miss what they've lost, but those observing from the outside know that something essential never returns. The lake has always been known as a tranquil place, sought after by people looking for silence and mental rest. Writers, students, and locals used to sit on its shore to think, plan, or simply observe the still water. Over time, strange reports of mental lapses began to emerge after prolonged visits. These weren't fainting spells or momentary confusion, but a real absence of thought. People forgot why they had gone there, lost entire trains of thought, and returned home unable to explain what they had felt. At first, no one associated this with the lake, until the pattern became evident and impossible to ignore. The lake remained too still, without waves, without insects touching the surface, without any reflection of wind. The water had an undefined color, neither dark nor light, as if it absorbed the light instead of reflecting it. The surrounding air seemed dense, making concentration difficult, and the silence was not merely an absence of sound, but of stimulus. The longer one stayed there, the harder it became to organize simple thoughts. There was no sense of threat, only an excessive, almost anesthetic calm. The environment invited lingering, creating the deceptive impression of peace, while slowly emptying the mind of ideas, memories, and intentions, leaving no visible signs of what was being taken away. The first clear sign emerged when a young student was found sitting on the shore for hours, unable to answer simple questions. She wasn't scared or confused, just blank, staring blankly at the water. When she was taken away, she didn't remember her own name or why she had gone to the lake. Other similar cases began to appear, always linked to long periods of silent observation. The pattern was frightening because there was no visible mental collapse, only a gradual withdrawal of thought. People continued walking, talking, and breathing, but something essential had been removed, leaving only automatic responses and a distant look that no one could explain. The most disturbing witness was a retired professor, known for his sharp mind and precise memory. He reported going to the lake to reflect, but realized something was wrong when he couldn't complete a simple thought. According to him, each idea dissolved before taking shape, as if sucked out of his head. Frightened, he tried to leave, but remained still for an indefinite period, unable to decide his next step. When he finally left, he felt too calm. Days later, he realized he had lost important memories, not only of the lake, but of entire parts of his life, as if they had never existed. Authorities initially treated the cases as episodes of stress or dissociation, but the recurrence forced a discreet investigation. Psychologists, doctors, and researchers visited the lake to observe patterns. Cognitive tests applied before and after the visits showed subtle, yet consistent losses. Abstract ideas were the first to disappear, followed by recent memories. No physical damage was identified, and neurological exams showed no abnormalities. Most unsettling was the reaction of those affected, who showed no distress over the mental loss. The more data emerged, the clearer it became that the lake did not cause confusion, but rather extracted something specific, leaving the brain functional and obedient yet devoid of intention. During prolonged observation, researchers noticed something unusual in the center of the lake, visible only when the mind began to fail. It was neither solid nor a reflection, but an unstable shape, like a delimited void. Instruments did not register its presence, yet people felt a strange relief when focusing on that point. The more someone tried to understand it, the fewer questions they could formulate. The object did not directly steal memories. It only attracted thoughts, dissolving ideas before they could exist. It was not in the lake, but aligned with it, functioning as a silent drain of conscious mental activity, active only when someone thought too much near the water. If this interpretation is making you rethink this story, leave a comment below with your perspective. These videos are meant to provoke reflection, and I read all the comments. And if this type of content interests you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next ones. After identifying that void in the center of the lake, the place was plunged into a silence unlike anything ever felt before. It wasn't just an absence of sounds, but of shared thoughts. Conversations ceased naturally, sentences remained incomplete, and people began to communicate only with slow gestures. Staying there for a long time brought about a deep, almost comfortable calm, where no worries could take root. The silence didn't frighten, it sedated. Researchers noticed that the less someone thought, the more satisfied the lake seemed. It was as if the place demanded total mental stillness, transforming visitors into empty, motionless presences, perfectly attuned to the nothingness reflected by the water. The turning point came when they realized that the lake didn't drain thoughts randomly. Only ideas linked to identity, choice, and doubt disappeared. Mechanical memories remained, but everything that defined free will dissolved first. Affected people became calm, cooperative, and easy to manage. The lake didn't drive people mad, it simplified them. Researchers understood too late that the emptiness at the center didn't consume the mind, but filtered out what made someone unpredictable. The place wasn't a mistake of nature, but an ancient, silent, and efficient mechanism of mental neutralization, capable of transforming complex individuals into tranquil presences, without conflict, without desire, and without questioning. When the lake's true function began to be understood, fear spread silently. There was no visible panic, only gradual distancing. People avoided thinking about the place, changed routes, and interrupted conversations when the subject came up. The terror stemmed from the idea of losing something that is not always valued, the capacity to question. Parents forbade their children from approaching it. Professionals abandoned research, and residents began to live with constant mental caution. The lake became a symbol not of death but of erasure, reminding everyone that existing without thinking could be more dangerous than disappearing completely. The forbidden theory emerged among a few scholars and was never officially recorded. It claimed that the lake functioned as an ancient filter, created to contain excessive human consciousness. Overthinking was considered an anomaly, and the lake corrected this by draining doubts, choices, and internal conflicts. It was neither punishment nor accident, but maintenance. Those who accepted this idea perceived something even more disturbing. The lake did not act alone. It responded to a greater need for balance, activating itself when thoughts accumulated too much. To divulge this theory would mean admitting that the human mind needed to be controlled, and that the lake merely did what others avoided acknowledging. The search ended without official announcement or public explanation. Research was concluded, reports filed away, and access to the lake discreetly discouraged. There were no fences or warnings, only the silent withdrawal of those who knew too much. Those who participated in the investigations began to avoid in-depth discussions, as if they feared triggering something again. The lake remained there, still and seemingly harmless, receiving occasional visitors seeking peace of mind. No attempt at neutralization was made, as they understood that interfering could provoke even more severe effects. The case was abandoned not for lack of answers, but for the risk of overthinking it. The final revelation didn't come from an event, but from a silent realization. The lake didn't steal thoughts, it only offered relief to those who could no longer bear them. People who returned repeatedly weren't seeking answers, but rest. The mental emptiness was comfortable, almost desirable. It was then understood that the danger wasn't in the lake itself, but in the attraction it exerted. It didn't force anyone to stay, it only removed the burden of deciding, questioning, and remembering. The true horror was accepting that many preferred to leave empty-handed rather than continue carrying their own intact conscience. Over time, the lake came to be avoided without clear explanations, transforming into a silent agreement among those who knew. The legacy was not fear, but habit. People learned to fill their days with distractions, noises, and constant routines as a form of protection. Overthinking became uncomfortable, almost dangerous. The lake remained there, motionless, waiting only for the excess of awareness to weigh on them again. Without signs, without warnings, without official histories, it remained as an invisible reminder that the human mind cannot always bear itself, and that sometimes the greatest risk is not losing thoughts, but deeply wishing they would disappear. If you enjoyed this approach and want to continue exploring stories that are almost never told this way, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And now, click on the video that's appearing on the screen. It directly complements what you just watched and may completely change the way you see this story.